Now, if you're looking at a replacement for white wine when it comes to cooking meat, then there is no other choice than this, which is the Madeira wine. So we've seen the white vermouth last week, but the Madeira wine is a staple in the professional kitchen. You're going to find it a lot in braised meat, pan sauces, but my personal recommendation is that if there is one thing you need to learn when it comes to using the Madeira wine is how to make a sauce Madeira, which is simply called the Madeira sauce. The simplest and most classic sauce that is used and reused and abused in a guide culinaire. And it so happened, Escoffier has got the perfect recipe in there. It's called the Poulet sauté perigord. Based on truffle, we're going to be using button mushroom instead. And it is so simple to make. Sauté chicken in oil and butter, a bit of shallots, the mushrooms. We're going to be deglazing with the Madeira wine, of course. Add some stock on here, reduce, and you're going to have on your hand one of the best combination there is. Chicken, mushroom, and Madeira wine is an absolute bomb. Let's do this right now. Let's begin. So here we're going to really learn the easy method on how to make a Madeira sauce as a pan sauces. Now the Madeira sauce is really a staple, but it's also one of the most simplistic sauce there is. This is what I absolutely love. All what you need as a pan sauce, a piece of meat, here is chicken, to give the flavor, of course. Then we're going to have mushrooms, shallots, a deglaze using Madeira wine, and here a flavored or reduced stock. This is my Homestyle Demiglace that I use, which is an enhanced store-bought stock where I use all the carcasses, the chicken wings that are chopped in small bits that are seared, with a mirepoix, celery, carrot, onion to get this. Really nice and flavorsome. It's a sauce base you can use for absolutely everything. So this is really virtually all what you need. The Madeira typically has to be a dry Madeira. I'm having here a medium dry. It's fine as well. It's a little bit more on the sweeter side. And the mushroom, as I said, Escoffier used truffle back in the days. But here we have butter mushroom for the very basic sauce that we're going to have here with the garnish. But if you want to use, for instance, Morels, they're more expensive, you can. If you want to use Porcini mushroom, the better the mushroom, the better the sauce. But for the rest, very straightforward. Let's jump on the stove. So for this recipe, we're using the sauté-déglace method, the searing and deglazing. So we're going to sear first the chicken. I'm starting here with a tablespoon or a bit more of oil. I'm using grapeseed oil with butter, a good 30 grams, because this is the Escoffier way and it's great, plenty of fat. Like this, you don't bother with the chicken sticking everywhere and stuff like that. So medium heat. I'm going to wait for this to melt. Everything is melted. We're going to start with a seasoned piece of chicken, skin side down. There's no need to rush the cooking. I've found sometimes we use high heat all the time, but actually a good medium heat works very good, especially with that mixture of butter and oil. So a good 5-6 minutes to get some color. So you can see when you start to really chant like that, and you have this little brown color and the time is up 6 minutes, 7 minutes, it must be telling me that, see, we must be ready to turn the meat over, because we've got the nice coloring. The same thing here, up, and I'm going to turn everything. So when you turn the meat over, you can reduce the heat. We still have plenty of fat in here, but there's a reason for that, because now what we're going to do, we're going to start to add the mushrooms and slowly cook the mushrooms in these lovely chicken juices. And let's talk about cooking time here. The breast on here 15 minutes. And this one at least 20 minutes. So we're going to be preheating the oven at 50 degrees Celsius to actually keep the breast warm when they're done. And then we're going to continue to cook these with the mushrooms. So put a timer on. Here we had a good 5 or 6 minutes, so another 10 minutes. The time is up for my chicken breast on here. Remember, the oven has been preheated. I'm taking them out. I'm going to keep them warm into the oven while we continue to cook the rest here, okay, which is the thighs, for another 5 minutes. Mushrooms are ready. I wanted to have them like this, kind of nice and caramelized for a nice kind of color. So I'm going to put them through a sieve on the side to drain the excess of fat. And I think the meat is about ready as well. Take everything out after that. So that's the mushroom first. So mushroom separate, and then this one in the oven with the rest. Yeah, I'm going to need nice colors. Let's go. Perfect, everything is out. The first thing we're going to do here before we make the sauce is to get rid of the excess of fat that we have in here. Okay, so I'm going to pour that in a container on the side. And then we're back. So for the sauce, the sauté-déglace, sautéing and deglazing. So we've done the sautéing part. We've got all these brown bits and these caramelized juices that we're going to use to enhance the flavor of the sauce. So first we're going to use a medium heat. Wait for this to come to temperature and then add the shallots in there. Now, very important, you don't need to add too much shallot. This is one shallot. If you want more, you can. But you don't want to burn everything, especially not the shallots. And the shallots, they're really there to kind of capture a little bit of these brown bits that you've got in here. They release some of their water, so you can see it gets a little bit more wet, which is very important. But what we want really is that deglazing with the Madeira wine, which I've got here. And this is staying on the side. So typically you use white wine, but here, Madeira. You can use more if you want, but I'm using what, 20 or 30 ml, something like this. And as I said, this is the pan sauce version of that sauce, and it is the home cooking style. In professional restaurants, it will be slightly different with the kind of stuff that you use. But the technique is essentially the same. After a minute or something like that, immediately, I'm deglazing. And this is where we can raise the heat, and we're going to gently try to capture all les sucs de cuisson, which is this caramelized juices, to form the base of our sauce. Good, so when you've got barely a few teaspoons left on here, you want some left, otherwise you're going to have zero flavor, but my trick, we're going to add some after. We then pour, I've got 250 ml of that reduced and thickened stock, which is at Homestyle Demiglace. And then high heat, I'm going to bring this first to a boil, and then reduce this by half, minimum. So my advice, you always reduce to a nice consistency first in the sauté pan, but there's plenty of floating beads, the shallots. So I'm going to filter this into another pan to get something nice and clean before we can finish the sauce. So my sauce has been filtered, and immediately you can see that that looks much more serious than what we had. So you always start with the rough job in the pan in here, you do your reduction, it's messy, there's bits and stuff, and then you filter, and this is where a lot of decision needs to happen. So seasoning, is there enough salt? Is there enough pepper in there? Do you want to add some Madeira wine? Do you want to add some more black pepper for a bit of a boost? We're going to be using butter to finish the sauce. And Escoffier is saying that the mushrooms should be placed on the chicken, but he's using truffle, which makes sense. Now we're using butter mushrooms. The question is, are we going to put the mushrooms in the sauce or not? I'm going to add a tablespoon worth of these lovely mushrooms in here because they're really going to add some flavors. That's going to be the first thing. And I'm going to gently heat that up. It is a very short sauce, as you can see. It's very deep and rich and dark. But all what we're going to do is to warm it up, then swirl in some butter, and basically it is ready. So it is simmering, and look at this classic sauce. It's very, very rich. I love it. I'm going to taste to see the seasoning. Ooh, enough salt. Maybe a hint of black pepper in here. Okay. I like to have a bit of black pepper in these sauces. And as I said, the butter. So the butter is really interesting because it really changes the whole flavor profile of the sauce. It's kind of smoothing it out. So first, no boiling. So the best, you turn your heat off. And then I'm going to add the pieces of butter, the butter cubes. I'm going to swirl that thing. So you just go slowly and you just go around and kind of swirl the whole thing like that. So there we have it. It's done. Before you take the chicken out, pour the juices in there, mix the whole lot. As I said, this is the final product. Look at this. It's dark. It's really strong. It's got that Madeira mellow to it, like this nutty kind of oaky flavor with the mushroom. It's going to be great. So I'm going to take my chicken out and let's serve this. Okay, the moment of truth. So I've followed you what Escoffier has said. This is simply the chicken breast with the mushroom. Typically it is truffle. I've got the sauce on here. Look at that beautiful sauce. And of course this is the the most important part. So I'm going to try to be careful. And we just drizzle plenty of that classic Madeira sauce on here. Trying to avoid these greens on here. And this is really what makes that dish because it's very concentrated. Okay, it's a bit messy, but you get the idea. It's all about the sauce, the chicken and the mushrooms. So I know that sauce already, but let's have a little piece of that moist chicken on here. And it's that combination, you see, of the mushroom, the sauce that has now thickened, and the mushrooms, which is a trifecta, again, a flavor. I'm going to actually, there's not enough sauce on here. That's my type of doing. Oh. You know what, that's it. It just so works. You know what, just You need lots of sauce for this. And that's a simple pleasure. So if I had much better mushrooms, of course, you know, you will take this to a whole new dimension. Imagine if you had truffle or morels or fresh porcini, pan-fried like that. I mean, that mixture, you need to try it. It just worked. And this was such a classic, that sauce. The Madeira sauce, used all across the Escoffier Guide Culinaire for one simple reason, because it's just beautiful. So there we have it, back in all its glory with the Madeira wine. Remember, it's best to use a dry Madeira wine, and this is an iconic, simple sauce that you can use here with chicken. Works absolutely beautifully with mushrooms, but you can use it in all kinds of other scenarios. With Auguste Escoffier in his book, I use it on starters, as a finishing sauce, even on eggs, with beef, with chicken, with all kinds of stuff. But you can use it at home for any kind of pan sauce, even a pepper steak, for instance, a pepper sauce that you want to use Madeira instead of the white wine. If you do any, maybe a braised dish or maybe even a stew to add a little bit of flavor and you want to replace the wine by something else, this is your port of call. It's a great, great addition again to your pantry. And next time we're going to be talking about another alcohol you can use to replace red wine. I'm sure already you're going to be thinking about something, but let me know in the comment section. If you make that sauce, you need to try it. Honestly, it's such a classic. It's so easy to make. And if you like it or not, because you know it might be a bit divisive, that sauce, but I'm sure a lot of people are going to like it because it is a timeless Escoffier favorite. So that's it for me. I will leave you with that picture, and I'll see you next time on the French Cooking Academy. Take care all. Bye bye.
By